This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you doing this week?
Tom, I'm a sweaty mess. It's hot out there.
It sure is. It's hot all the time. I find that I'm rarely going outside as a result of the heat.
That same with me, my friend. I didn't go outside.
And boy, let me tell you, it's great for my mental health.
What, sitting in the same room 24 hours a day?
Yeah, it turns out the problem was going outside and seeing the sun and other people.
Tom, I only went outside today to get some slices of pizza, and then I came home and ate the pizza in my home.
I only left my home 5 times today to get pizza.
Tom? Mm-hmm. I've become a pizza boy, which is not good.
What do you mean you become a pizza boy?
What? I'm eating a lot more pizza these days.
Yeah, but I don't know. You've always eaten a lot of pizza.
Tom, I don't think you know this about
let me
me.
hear. Okay.
I haven't been eating a lot of pizza lately. I don't have a great pizza place.
Well, Tim, which one is it? You just said you've been eating a lot of pizza lately.
I know, but Tom, since I moved a couple of years ago, it's like a little bit of a hike to get to a good pizza place.
Right.
There's like a wood-fired oven place,
yeah,
and it's like that's
but
cool.
You
but
want
like
a
slice joint, yeah.
Yeah.
But Tom, I'm back in. Guess what? I'm willing to walk a quarter of a mile, but like round trip, that's a half a mile, Tom, and that's it's hot out, as I said.
Yeah, and that's I don't know, 1 or 2 bites of pizza worth of calories you're burning there.
Exactly. I go in there, and I'm all out of breath, and they're like, "What's going on?" I'm just like, "Pizza." Asking for that, but sweating because it's such a long walk. Tom, but guess what else I did?
What?
I did the thing that you claim to have done.
You bought pizza dough.
I bought some pizza dough, and I came home and made some pizza myself.
Look at that. So and look, all right, I got to hear everything. What did you say? Did you act confident, or were you like, I heard from an idiot friend of mine you could buy pizza dough from a pizzeria?
No, because I always knew that to be theoretically true.
No, go to hell. You've always said that it's not true.
No, Tom, I never said it's not true. I always said it's true, but you've never done it. That
then
you were lying
I know about it.
Because I knew about it too. We both knew about it. We know about a lot. We know about space, but neither of us has been there. Now this is like I have finally gone to space
because I haven't been there.
All right, it's like the bottom of the sea. Where only James Cameron treads.
Right.
Well, guess what?
How much did they charge you for that dough?
All right, this is what how much do you think they charged me? And all right, here's what I did. I went up confidently, and I said, "Hey, you guys sell dough?" Just like that.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
One? And like there was no units involved. It was just one.
Right. One dough?
Yeah, and I was like, "Yes, one, please." So I'm rolling the dice. Am I going to get I don't know. Am I going to get a big bucket
right, or just one slice worth of dough?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. He's back. So it was about, it was enough for me to make myself and my wife each a personal pan pizza when we got home.
Okay.
In cast iron.
So probably total like a 18-inch pizza pie's worth.
Yeah, probably. Okay. How much do you think this guy charged me?
$3.
It was $4, but that's inflation for you.
Yeah, well, there you go. It
Tom?
used to be $1 back in my day.
Yeah, back when you did it.
When I did it, it was $1.
Wait, Tom, let me ask you a question. What apartment did you live in when you did that?
It was a long time ago. It was over a decade ago, but still, I did it.
No, but really, what pizza place did you get it from? See, Tom, this is where you're starting. I don't know any details.
No, I think I got it from
did
Vinny's in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not true, but okay.
Why would I lie about that?
Because, Tom, I don't know why you lie about any of this.
I got it from Original Ray's Pizza, Tim.
I will say this, Tom.
Mhm.
I often, as a pizza boy, I often, I guess this is undercutting.
I often aspire to be a pizza man.
Well, that too. But I've been, I make a lot of my own pizza, but usually I make my own dough.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I use this this recipe that I found on YouTube to recreate like a 1990s style Pizza Hut dine-in personal pan pizza.
Yeah, but you haven't been able to get your normal supply of like trans fats.
No, you could get it. I mean, I guess it's just flour and yeast and water.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Pizza Hut didn't come up with that, Tim.
But I don't know what the New York City pizzeria is doing differently, because this was
It's
way
the
different.
Water.
But I use the water. I live in New York City, Tom.
They got pizza place water, Tim.
I fly in the water from Kansas. I just don't know what are they putting something else in it? Is there like sugar in the dough? Is there
Some places put sugar in the dough.
Yeah. For the yeast?
I mean, yeah, it could be the yeast. I don't know. I mean, it could just be that, they're a pizza place, so they make dough a lot more often than you and are better at it.
Well, no, I think mine comes out better. That's the thing.
Oh, you think yours is better?
Yeah.
Oh.
And this was, guess where I got this dough from, Tom?
Where?
Luigi's Pizza. If they're not gonna know.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a pretty authentic place.
Yeah. I know I told you I had stuff to talk about at the top of the show, and then I just told you how I made a pizza, and then I'm trying to stretch this into 15 minutes. So
I watched I've got something to say to what you're talking about, Tim, because I read an article this week, I think it was on theverge.com, about prison TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
But this was about like people who are out of prison doing TikTok, but like about prison stuff. And the video I watched, it was this woman that showed how to make prison pizza. So like how to make pizza in prison.
Yeah.
And now you got to keep in mind, this looked like the most awful pizza you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if you're in prison and this is probably amazing, compared to what you're getting.
I mean,
every
I don't
day.
think anything is amazing in prison. I think but like, I understand on the adjusted scale of being in the U.S. prison system.
You don't think even getting out of prison is amazing, Tim? Wow. You don't think anything about prison is amazing, not even leaving it.
I mean, getting out without any kind of support system there,
well, what if you got out by throwing a wool blanket over the barbed wire?
Well, that's true. Well,
and
then the dogs
got
are
a
after
support
you.
a support system. It's your robber friend catching you as you fall down the fence. He says, "I got you, buddy." And then you're both on the run together.
He was on the outside the whole time, or you both escaped together?
Yeah, he got a lighter sentence.
Okay. That was nice of him to just...
In this scenario, you killed a guy during the robbery.
Okay, all right. Interesting. And he's just like, hey, I'm out, and guess what? I'm going to come back to catch my friend as he hops over the fence.
Yeah. In this situation, you're like you're a psychopath that was like just looking for an excuse to kill somebody.
Right. And this other guy was just like he was trying to just feed his family.
Yeah, and he was like, "No, we can just blindfold him." And he's like, but you were like, "No, he saw our faces."
Right.
And you just shot him point blank.
Right.
But anyway, this woman, she was in jail for apparently stealing from the bank she worked for.
That shouldn't be a crime. Stealing from the bank should be legal. Not like
great.
Armed robbery, but if you get money out of the bank without violence, you should be able to keep it.
Well, you're allowed to keep it if they don't find out.
Right.
But in this case, they did find out. Actually, I'm not sure what her what exactly it was, that how she was doing it, but apparently the method she was doing it involved having to like constantly keep money moving. And then there was like a snowstorm or something that like knocked the power grid out, and she was like out of work for a day, and that's when like everything collapsed. But anyway,
let me ask you this, Tom. Do you agree with me that when a bank screws up and they put like $10,000 in someone's account and then they withdraw it and they're like, "This is my money," that you shouldn't have to give that money back?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's
I hate
them.
that it's like, well, it's the law that you have to give it back, and they can. It's like, no, you put your stuff in my account.
Yeah, what if you went and spent all that money?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought I was the winner of a sweepstakes. Take that out of Jamie Dimon.
The winner of one of those bank sweepstakes.
You know how banks put money into your accounts
randomly? They do unadvertised contests.
Yeah. Anyway, so tell me about the prison pizza.
The prison pizza. This is how you make prison pizza. First off, you know what? Actually, I'll say this up top. She like completely glossed over the cheese.
The Polio tells me it's the best part of the pizza.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly why, but this was all stuff because it didn't look like, because actually that's a good idea that I would think, because this was all like stuff you could buy at the commissary at a prison. And I would think like, oh, you might be able to get Polio string cheese. That would be great to put on a pizza. You know, it's literally mozzarella cheese. But so crust, sauce, and cheese. Cheese, we don't know what she did, but
okay,
sauce.
So this is really I'm not familiar with the format of TikTok. Was there not enough time to get to the cheese? Do we think?
Maybe that was the case. But the it kind of looked like just like cheese sauce she put on it.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
The pizza sauce was ketchup with I think like a little water, and then just like half of a container of like garlic powder and half of a container of onion powder. And she was like, you're going to want to put way more of this in than you would ever think, because what you're really trying to do is get rid of the ketchup taste.
Right. So you have access to garlic powder and onion powder?
At some prisons, yeah.
Huh.
Well, like I said, this was, a white collar, nonviolent crime.
Okay.
So I imagine she was in like but apparently she was in prison for a long time. And then, but the crust, I got to be honest, the crust didn't look that good, Tim. The crust was pieces of ripped up bread that you put in a potato chip bag with some water, and then you like squish it around a lot.
Yeah.
And then,
yep.
And then to cook it.
That's right. That was my next question, Tom.
To cook it was, I found this part ingenious. It was a paper bag, like a grocery store bag, and you put a couple of holes in it, a couple of ventilation holes, and then one big hole that you stick a hairdryer in. And then you just keep the hairdryer on for like a half hour. Cool. And it turns that paper bag into an oven.
Yeah, you can have a hairdryer?
Again, at I guess, low security prisons. But and yeah, by the time she was done, she had the most disgusting pizza I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds harrowing and not worth it for pizza. But, Tom, you always told me it was possible just to go up to the commissary and buy dough directly from them. You told me you did it.
Tim, this week we're bringing back a fan favorite series, I would say.
Yeah.
Myths and legends, the complete guide to everything.
Bad things, right?
Fans of getting spooked, getting the shit scared out of them. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe this should come with a content warning.
Yeah, warning: you may have the shit scared out of you.
Yeah, and guess what? We don't even care.
No, we don't care. I'm not going to encourage people to try and sue us. That has happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
So anyway,
not for getting the shit scared out of them either.
no, that would be great. I mean, if people were suing us because they got the shit scared out of them,
that's great marketing. That's marketing for the show right there, Tom.
Yeah. All right. So correction. Don't try and sue us unless you're going to try and sue us for having the shit scared out of you.
Yeah.
With the knowledge that me and Tim are going to represent ourselves in court.
Exactly. And you can't sue us for any kind of monetary damage because we don't want to pay you any money.
Yeah, it has to be a symbolic. It has to be like for a single US dollar.
Yeah. And like an apology. But guess what? We'll never apologize.
Yeah.
We're
and
not
also,
sorry.
like, we're not going to have to fill out any forms or anything.
Yeah.
You're going to have to fill out all the forms for us.
And we're just going to scream about how it's a kangaroo court the whole time.
Yeah, and how the whole court's out of order.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to cross-examine each other on the stand.
It's going to be not unlike the classic Three Stooges short, Disorder in the Court.
So this is the complete guide to everything, myths and legends, the Bermuda Triangle.
Are you going to put some sort of...
Yeah, well, I was going to say you should put some sort of like, echo on there and make it really...
If I remember, I will.
Tim, what do you know about the Bermuda Triangle?
Tom, there's a difference between what I know now and what I used to know.
What'd you used to know before you did your in-depth research?
I used to know that there was a triangle of area near Bermuda, an island off the east coast of the United States, where if you tried to fly a plane through or sail a ship through, tough luck, pal. You're going to die. You're going to disappear forever.
Yeah.
And every boat and every plane that tried to go through this area, guess what? Oh, you stay away because something mysterious in there is killing every one and everything that enters.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was actually trying to find some kind of reason why in the 80s and 90s it seemed like maybe mostly just the 80s that the Bermuda Triangle had like a lot of hype around it.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things that like sitcom writers just referenced a lot. Mm-hmm. And the only thing we consumed were sitcoms, so like we just assumed it was a big problem.
Well, no, it wasn't just that, because one thing that there was that I found was David Copperfield did a Bermuda Triangle. Yeah. It was apparently his 10th CBS special, his 10th anniversary CBS special. That I want to say,
let me guess, that was 93.
I think it was 89.
Oh, okay.
No, that can't be true. With 10 years, maybe it was about 93, 90 something.
Tom, I've done no research into
David
that
Copperfield.
special. I just remember that airing.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and it was standard. So many of these David Copperfield specials, looking back, were just him disappearing and then reappearing.
Yeah, sure was. 1988, Tom. Wow.
Okay, 88. So I was right. Well, I wasn't right. I was actually
you were wrong,
but that's earlier than I even thought. So yeah, I would have been like 7 years old and watching that. It was mind blowing. And I think maybe that's what like really cemented the idea, because the whole special it really wasn't about him disappearing and reappearing. And they claimed he was like disappearing into the parallel universe that exists within the Bermuda Triangle. It was more about, I feel like they really hyped up the idea that everyone, the production, I don't remember if there was any kind of audience, that they were all in like tremendous danger doing this.
Right.
That at any point, even if you don't believe that things are disappearing into an alternate dimension, at any moment, like a hurricane might just swallow, a whirlpool would open up and just swallow everybody whole.
Because that's what happens in the Bermuda Triangle, just randomly.
That's what we were led to believe.
Yeah. I don't remember anything about his actual trick. But yeah, I think once I turned 10 years old myself, I realized like, oh, they're just like turning off the camera and then moving something out of the way and then turning the camera back on, and that's how they made something disappear.
Well, that's what they did. That's how he made the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Statue of Liberty, they
the
turned
whole stage
the camera.
moves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So not just the camera, but I mean, it was like a clever trick. You wouldn't think the whole stage would move.
Yeah.
But not a clever enough trick that when you hear how it was done, you aren't like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's why, I mean, that's all magic tricks. Whenever you hear it, it's like, oh, yeah. Oh, it wasn't magic.
No, some are like very complicated where they require like some kind of sleight of hand, like just a tremendous amount of practice.
Yeah, and those, whenever I hear about those, it's like, loser, you put that much time and effort into doing this one stupid trick.
But a lot of the David Copperfield ones were just I don't know, like TV special effects. They were things that would only work on TV.
Right.
But with that said, I do miss the era of just like, I remember as a kid, like when a commercial would come on that there was some new magic special. It was like, oh my God, that was like the only thing I ever put in my calendar.
Network TV was lousy with magic specials in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And then poof.
Not enough of them, if you ask me. I think maybe Vegas wasn't as big for magic back then. So it was, I think, nowadays all these magicians are like, oh, I can just do shows in Vegas and make like, hundreds of thousands of dollars every night doing the same tricks, not having to put this tremendous amount of work in.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I don't go to Vegas. I've never been to Vegas, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, would you like to go to Vegas? Not this year. Maybe not next year. 2024. You and me. And we'll hit up all the magic shows.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
We'll see Lance Burton.
We can...
We'll see Penn and Teller. We'll see Chris Angel. We'll even see some of the lesser. We'll see Mac King.
Wow.
We'll see Piff the Magic Dragon.
I don't even know these other ones.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of Rube ticket that you can buy that'll get you into all the magic shows.
Why would you have to be a Rube to do that? I mean, we're not gonna go in there and be like, man, that man was actually a sorcerer.
I don't know. I might, depending on how good the tricks are.
Yeah, that's true.
Tim, the idea of the Bermuda Triangle being this mysterious place where planes and ships disappear. Do you know who this originated with? It's a famous man.
Winston Churchill.
No.
He seems to come up a lot in history.
Why would Winston Churchill come up as a famous man associated with the Bermuda Triangle?
You never know.
I would argue this man's more famous than Winston Churchill.
Jesus Christ.
He's not that famous though. Right down the middle.
Harry Truman.
I would argue Harry Truman's close to Winston Churchill.
Hugh Hefner. Is Hugh Hefner? No, Hugh Hefner is not more historically significant than Winston Churchill.
Well, we're not saying historically significant. We're saying famous.
Right. Is Hef?
And I would. What?
I mean, you're a big Hef fan. You wear
my smoking jacket.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You bought it at an auction for $450,000.
Yeah, it
wasn't even his.
It smells like body odor and cheap cigars, but I love it. Tim, the man whose name you were trying to think of, Christopher Columbus.
Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah. He has the first recorded instance of having like a strange phenomenon happen in the Bermuda Triangle.
Well,
he was there with his ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
did you know that one of them got destroyed on the way?
When? Oh, on the way?
Yeah, I read that recently.
Why didn't they tell us about that?
I don't know, Tom. They didn't tell us a lot about that Christopher Columbus story.
Well, now I don't. Now I have to question everything they taught us. He has in his book or whatever, his log book, his captain's log, that they were there and the compasses weren't working right. Okay. They were going all screwy. And then he saw a huge flash in the sky that lit up the entire sky, but there was no storm. The sea was calm and everything. Now, of course, there are people that think it was an alien, or UFO.
Of course.
But the more interesting theory, which is very crazy if this is true, and it just happened to be that Christopher Columbus was there to witness it, was that it was a meteor, and that meteor is actually responsible for compasses not working.
Okay.
That it could be, an iron meteor that has its own, it's magnetized in a way that causes compasses to go screwy. But it would be. I have no idea how
meteors work. Yeah, it'd be crazy. I'm sorry.
It would be crazy if that were the case, and it was and the man who witnessed it, Christopher Columbus, just randomly, he happened to be in the right place at the right time. A good 500 years before this area became well known as a hot spot of unusual activity.
Right. So he was the first guy to say, hey, something screwy over here. But then he kept going and discovered the new world, the first guy.
Yeah. It'd be crazy if he was turn back, boys.
Yeah.
We're going back to Spain. Is that where they left from?
Yeah.
I know that's where he got the ships from.
Mm-hmm.
If he was we're going back to Spain, saw a big flash in the sky.
Everybody
forget
was
it.
real
The
impressed
new world,
about that.
The new world is too scary. We're going back. So that's
not our boy Christopher.
Nah, he kept pushing on. He was no, we have horrible things to do there.
We must commit atrocities.
We must persevere. So anyway, that was the first case, but then certainly not the last.
Right.
After that,
who do you revere more, Christopher Columbus or Hugh Hefner?
I don't know if I would necessarily say I revere either of them, Tim.
Yeah. Okay.
The next big unusual thing that happens there, which I would argue isn't that unusual, was the HMS Atalanta sank. It was a British
what year was
naval
this?
ship. 1880.
Freaking ships sank. 1,000 ships a day sank back then. There's so many ships. And so many, they sprung so many leaks, I guess, and a lot of them just bloop all the way down. The Santa Maria happened to that.
Well, that was before they had bubble gum to plug up those leaks.
Yeah, that's true. But you can't. The HMS what? You can't chew bubble gum on Her Majesty's ships.
Right, and that really bit him in the ass when that hole sprung up and nobody had anything that they could fill it with. But that was the first one. 281 people died, sank on that boat, on that ship.
Well, now I feel like a jerk for making light of it.
Yeah,
were they all murderers, Tom?
No, they weren't all murderers. I think they were all seamen. Because they were in the Navy, you see.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let me say this to ease your mind, Tim. This happened in 1880. I think by now they would have all been dead due to natural causes.
Hopefully, yeah. You never know, though.
Yeah, maybe on that ship was a man who was destined to be the world's oldest man one day. But he sank in that ship.
Tom, how confident are you that somebody alive today will live to see 200 years old?
Ooh. I would give it 50-50 odds.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What are the odds that you're looking at them right now?
0. Absolutely 0.
What? All right, I guess I'm eating more pizza these days. That's not good.
You're eating more pizza, and also, like, I'm thinking about somebody that, they're going to put, like, a robot head on.
Yeah, maybe me.
You're not going to want a robot head. You're not going to be the first one to be like, you know what, actually take my brain out and put it in a robot.
I don't want to be the first one. I want to, after a few fail and they start getting better and better at it, I'll be like, okay, this seems okay. And I'm going to be so old. I'm going to be on death's
door anyway. By then, the
anyway.
line's going to be too long.
I used to be really good at cutting lines. I should get back into that. So when I'm very old and about to die, I can cut the line for the robot heads so I can live to be 200.
You're asking me who I revere more, Christopher Columbus or Hugh Hefner, while you're bragging about how I used to be really good at cutting lines.
Yeah, not getting caught.
Real scummy thing to do.
Yeah.
I like that you're imagining, though, in like 150 years to get the robot head, there's just going to be a line down the block.
That's what you said. You said the line was going to be too long.
I meant like the online reservation system, not the actual physical line.
Well, that's how you game the system. You show up.
Yeah. Hey, you guys get any walk-up appointments to get the robot head?
Like,
get my brain scooped out, put it in a robot?
Legwork. Yeah.
Well, I wish the best. You know what? I mean, at that point, you'd probably actually be really good because you'd be old. And when old people cut the line, a lot of people just kind of look the other way.
That's
just
what
like,
I'm saying.
He doesn't really know what he's doing. And what am I going to do? Tell that old man back of the line?
Yeah.
I'm fine letting him get his brain scooped out and put in a robot before me. Tim, the next unusual instance happened in, I don't have the year for this.
Oh no, maybe which one is it?
The USS Cyclops.
Ooh. That's a cool one.
Well, it's certainly a cool sounding name. Oh, this was March 1918.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Am I boring you, Tim?
A little bit, yeah. But I was trying to be polite and not audibly yawn.
So this was a ship that sank, a U.S. warship, as the USS would indicate. I don't know exactly. I'm trying to see if how many people died, but I would assume a lot because apparently, like fully loaded, the ship would have 236 people on it. Now, what was
Tom? Guess what?
What?
There was a crew of 309 on this ship.
Oh wow! Well, maybe that's why it sank. Too many people.
Yeah, largest loss of life in the history of the U.S. Navy, not related to combat.
I'm also seeing, just as important, the ship appeared in the 2006 animated movie Scooby-Doo Pirates Ahoy.
Tom, you've been talking nonstop about Scooby-Doo movies ever since they canceled that one. That was supposed to come out.
Yeah, they canceled this new HBO Max Scooby-Doo cartoon.
I know, you've been
cartoon movie.
Yeah.
But the thing that's unusual about this sinking is that there was no radio communication beforehand. So like normally if there's like a big problem, and I believe this was like a fueling ship. Am I right in saying that?
What's a collier?
It's a type of dog, like Lassie.
Okay. COLL.
Yes, it was. It was a fueling ship.
Coal ship.
Yeah. Well, coal used to be the fuel back then.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Thank God we've moved beyond it now. That would be crazy.
If we were still using that. Yeah.
The crazy thing was just that there was like no distress call or anything like that.
Right. What happens when that happens, right? Like, did the newspapers go nuts? Was this like when the plane went missing on CNN that one time?
Yeah, and I'm seeing, I didn't even realize, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for it, that the fate, even now, is listed as lost at sea or sunk by the Imperial German Navy.
Right.
So, this was World War One.
Yep.
They think, it could have been that like the German Navy sank it. But regardless, whatever happened, they didn't call for help or anything like that. Yeah. Because, when a ship's sinking, you call out an SOS because it's like, well, look, these guys, they're Navy men. They can tread water for a little bit.
Yeah, and they know Morse code. They all have to know Morse code.
Yeah, so, we're going to radio our position and, send backup, come help us.
Right.
So the fact that didn't happen is considered very unusual because, ships don't sink instantly. It takes a while for a ship to go down, and presumably somebody would have been able to get out an SOS during that time.
Right.
But no, this just sunk. So that was another weird one. The next weird one, let me see. I think this one was during the 30s, maybe.
There's a lot of weird stuff. Like, there were more things than I expected that like actually happened there. But again, I bet if you took any triangle out in the sea, you'd be like, oh, there was all these ships that like disappeared or were sunk, because thousands of ships have sunk or disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of why you don't hear as much about the Bermuda Triangle anymore, because apparently, like, people did start to look into it and kind of crunch the numbers. And they were, basically the numbers came out that, actually, this is like statistically normal, the amount of ships and planes that have crashed.
Makes me never want to step foot on a ship or a plane ever again.
But I mean, and I think also this is like a pretty well-traveled waterway.
Yeah.
So
if you look at it on a map, it's like,
it's huge. It's a huge area.
Yeah.
But I remember that David Copperfield did his trick right in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle.
Right. Do we believe that happened?
That's where he was?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
I mean, they were out to sea, but yeah, they might not have been in the middle of the Bermuda.
I don't know. They might have been in the East River and just used clever camera angles.
But I do remember it being like, hey, we're right in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, so that must be the worst part. And I don't know. There's nothing to suggest that that triangle really has anything to do with it. Like, there could be a much smaller area that all these things happen to disappear in, especially because we don't know where they went in a lot of cases. But this case, Carol A. Deering, this was 1921. It was that's the name of a boat, mind you, a schooner.
No, that sounded like the name of a lady, Tom.
Yeah, that's why I pointed. I was thinking, Tim's gonna think this is some lady. No, it's
Carol
the name
A.
of a
Deering.
ship.
I know her. She lived down the street from me. She was older when I was a kid.
Well, she you refer to ships with female pronouns, right?
I mean, some of us do.
So it does make sense. Some of us, well, I'm in good company, Tim, with Billy Joel. So I don't know who you consider good company of people that don't refer to ships as she and her.
What, because of the Downeaster Alexa?
She's a good ship, she is. That's what I say about ships all the time.
Right.
Not all the time, only when it's a good ship. But the reason why this isn't a weird one was that this ship disappeared and then was found, a big ship was found run aground off Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, with the crew nowhere to be found. So again, just like a very weird, like, what the hell happened to everybody? Everybody fell off this ship?
Aliens.
And it looks like this ship would have had about 11 people on it.
Did you hear about these other theories?
With this particular ship?
Yeah.
No, what were they?
That maybe rum runners were involved. Like maybe there was just like some illegal dealings. Either that or communist sabotage.
Well, this was what, the 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah, communist sabotage was everywhere back then.
Exactly. And so were rum runners.
And what would the sabotage have been? Just like,
they spooked everybody with a ghost ship.
They're like, it'll really get the Americans quaking in their boots. We'll take everybody off the ship and then just let it go out to sea and then eventually show up in North Carolina. So that was weird.
Tom, can I tell you something? Hold on.
Sure.
This is tying it all together. This is why I know something is messed up here.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the crew disappeared from the ship.
Yeah.
And I'm reading from Wikipedia now. On April 11th, 1921, a local fisherman named Christopher Columbus Gray claimed to have found a message in a bottle floating off in the waters off of Buxton Beach, North Carolina. And the text said, "Deering captured by oil-burning boat, something like chaser, taking off everything, handcuffing crew hiding all over ship, no chance to make escape. Finder, please notify headquarters Deering." So
and
pirates, I guess?
Was that letter ever authenticated or anything like that? Or is it just...
the handwriting was identified as that of the ship's engineer, Bates, by the widow of Captain Wormwell.
So that sounds like a mystery solved then.
Yeah. The bottle was proven to have been manufactured in Brazil, along with the sighting of a mysterious steamer that arrived at Cape Lookout Lightship in the wake of the Deering, suggested hostile action. Okay, yeah, they were kidnapped.
Kidnapped by a steamer.
Yeah, isn't that always the way?
Yeah. If you're out there in the open ocean, you see a steamer coming your way, get out of there.
Yeah.
They got bad intentions.
Turn on the motor on your boat.
Well, this was a schooner, Tim. It had sails. It had 5 sails.
They also have a little motor on the back, right, to get you out?
I don't know in the 20s if that were the case or if they just like rowed.
I always thought that was funny. You ever go on somebody's sailboat, Tom? And then at first they're like, okay, now I'm just going to turn on the motor till we get out to where we can use the sails. It's like, okay.
Well, why don't you use the motor the whole time?
Yeah, exactly. And there's like, you see these gas prices? Fair enough.
I don't think I've ever really been on a sailboat.
Tom, plot twist.
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus Gray admitted to forging the note.
What? This is just coming out now?
Yeah. This just came. It popped up as an Apple News alert.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, at least those news alerts have you pegged, apparently.
Yeah. Well.
And now the question is, was the widow in on it?
Maybe she was just upset.
Yeah, maybe
bereaved.
She just desperately wanted it to be true so she would know what happened.
Yeah.
She was like, please, anything but my husband being trapped in an alternate universe.
This is how sad Christopher Columbus Gray is. He forged the note, he admitted, in hopes that the publicity he would garner from finding it would help him secure employment at the Cape Hatteras Light Station. He wanted to be a lighthouse guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, if I pretend to find a bottle, they'll let me up in the lighthouse.
I mean, I don't know that much about lighthouse employment, but I'm pretty sure they don't like hire famous people. That's not one of the
he was the one that had a whole public brouhaha around him. Yeah, hire that guy.
Oh, Christopher Columbus, right? Well, you meet all the qualifications. Unfortunately, you're just not famous enough to be a lighthouse worker. One of like historically the shittiest jobs anyone could ever have.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus, great. You just show up there. And they'll let you in. And the guy will be like, thank God, you take over.
Yes. Some horrible old man that hasn't left that lighthouse in 30 years will be like, keep the light going. Well, sad that this scheme didn't work out for him. Yeah. But now, Tim, we get into some of the real weird stuff.
Okay.
This is probably the most famous of the incidents. Flight 19. This was 1945.
Okay.
And this was U.S. I don't know if it was Navy or Air Force. Isn't it just so confusing that like the Air Force has ships and the Navy has planes?
It sure is, Tom.
Come on, guys, get it together.
And why do we drive on a parkway and park in a driveway?
But Flight 19, it was 5 torpedo bombers. Which sounds like a pretty cool kind of plane.
Yeah.
Drops torpedoes, presumably to hit submarines.
Yeah.
Had 14 men. I believe it was flying out of Florida. And they just started hitting like weird stuff and got lost. One of the pilots, it was a training mission, I should say. So the guy in charge of the training mission called in and he said, we can't tell where we are. Everything can't make out anything. We think we may be about 225 miles northeast of base. For a few moments, the pilot rambled incoherently before uttering the last words ever heard from Flight 19. It looks like we are entering white water. We're completely lost. And before this, I read this in the wrong order. Contact was lost for 10 minutes, but when it resumed, it was not the voice of the flight leader. It was somebody else. And they said, we can't find west. Everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction. Everything looks strange, even the ocean.
They were in the clouds, Tom.
Well, so get this. Those 5 torpedo bombers disappeared forever with 14 men on them. So they sent out a rescue mission, a flying boat. This ship was called.
What? Did it really fly?
It just means like a seaplane.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, because it could. Okay.
So they sent that out, a rescue mission. 13 men also disappeared.
Whoa. Okay. Now you got my attention.
Right. So that's weird.
There's 27 men.
Yeah. And again, this is a flying boat. You would think like that would actually be hard to sink because it's meant to float. And this is they're not going into the situation blind. They're going into like, all right, these guys are lost in some bad weather or something. We need to find them. And yeah, same thing, just disappeared. So that's like the most famous story. And understandably, that's the story that really got people's imaginations going. That's the story that's referenced in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Never saw that movie, Tom. That has to do with the Bermuda Triangle now?
Parts of it do.
Huh.
I think in the movie, it's like the planes are found in the desert one day, like intact and fine. So that's when people start being
That's
like,
what I call a close encounter. So they say at that point.
That's what the first guy who shows up at the scene says. Yeah.
Wow. I would assume it would be the third guy that says that.
Well, the third guy is the one that says that's of the third kind.
Yeah, okay, I see.
But that's a very weird. And of course, it's like, okay, both these planes could have hit really bad weather.
Right.
Or not both these planes, 6 different planes. They could have hit bad weather and all sank, and that could explain it. But these weren't, these were military pilots. These weren't, weekend warrior
Run of the
knuckleheads.
mill. Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that they were just so discombobulated, they were so turned around that they're like, we don't know where the hell we are. None of our instruments are working right. And the fact that one of them says everything looks strange, even the ocean.
Right. Maybe that
Makes
guy was just, editorializing a little bit. I mean, I guess that's exactly what he was doing.
But there are a lot of people that say there's very strange weather around there. And one of the things that can happen is that there are these downdrafts of cold air that they say are basically like bombs, where it's just like all of a sudden, with the, because I guess like a lot of air systems collide around there.
Okay.
And can create weird atmospheric conditions that they think that there are conditions sometimes where there's just this like cold downdraft. So it's basically just like huge volume of air pushing down very fast and very strong, strong enough to sink boats and crash airplanes.
Right. Isn't this like, I don't know, when I fly to Orlando, Florida to go to my twice yearly trip to Disney World.
Yeah.
Aren't I flying right through there?
When you leave the wife and kids at home.
Yeah, exactly. We have some me time.
I
guess not. No, I mean, it's kind of the tip of Florida to Bermuda. That's not it.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
if you're flying to Puerto Rico, like for sure you're flying through the Bermuda Triangle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think the idea that this whole triangle is dangerous. No, come on.
Come on, man. Cut the crap.
Too many people go through there.
Have you ever been to Bermuda?
No, I have not. Have you?
Yeah, I have. And I went on like a cruise to Bermuda when I was like 13. And I was like, what are you, crazy, Mom and Dad? You're booking a cruise?
You just signed our death warrants.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's when I learned, like...
it wasn't true.
Yeah. But I'm interested in knowing other theories, Tom. I know that you have all these crackpots in your ear.
Yeah.
You're always willing to hear out a crazy person. What do people think? What's the scuttlebutt? What's going on in the Bermuda Triangle?
Well, so there's also another very famous story of this pilot, Bruce Gernon.
Oh, yes, Bruce Gernon. He's so famous they hired him to work at a lighthouse.
He had a flight, I believe it was from Puerto Rico to Miami, or maybe it was Bermuda to Miami. It was from one of those islands to Miami. And he has a very weird experience there, which is basically that he experienced a time warp and a space warp. Basically, he was flying and just had like very strange conditions where he said it was like a tunnel of clouds that he was flying through. He described it as an electronic fog just very strange conditions. And he was like calling in. Oh, he was going from the Bahamas to Palm Beach. And basically, he got there too fast. He got there faster than should have been possible. So there's missing time there.
Huh.
He got there 250 miles in 47 minutes, which
how long should that normally take?
The fastest this plane could fly was 180 miles an hour.
Okay.
So for it to go 250 miles in 45 minutes, it just doesn't seem possible.
Right.
And this guy's been obsessed with this ever since, because he's like, what the hell happened to me? He believes he flew through some kind of perhaps wormhole, you know, some kind of
a wormhole of clouds.
Yeah, some kind of just like very rare phenomena that he happened to be right place, right time, and just kind of like scooted through.
Huh.
Now I wonder if it's I don't know enough about planes to know, like, is it possible that he just got like an insane tailwind and that just flew him like way? I have to imagine if that were possible, then he would have known. His like gauges still would have said how fast he was going.
I mean, who's tracking this flight? Was he tracking himself?
He was, but he was calling in to like a tower about it.
Okay.
And, you know, according to the story, and again, it's like one of these stories where it's like, you know, I don't know how many people have like really dug in to see, you know, if there's corroborating evidence. But at least according to the story, the people at the tower didn't understand how he got where he was as fast as he did either.
Right. Well, sounds like an old man bragging about how fast he went in this plane.
No, because he's not taking credit for it. He's saying, you know, some dang electronic fog that did it.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, a lot of rumors over the years. Well, two rumors. First, that under the Bermuda Triangle is Atlantis.
Ooh, the Lost City?
The lost city of Atlantis, which kind of doesn't make any sense that that's where it would be, but okay. And the second one being that that's like a UFO spot. That's where like underwater UFO, that there's like an underwater UFO base there.
And has
maybe
anybody gone down there beyond? Like, has James Cameron ever taken his little tutor down there?
People have been down there, but I mean, you know, it's such a big area that, you know, nobody's been all over the place.
Right.
And again, that's why, you know, a lot of these airplanes and ships, they've just never been found. And that's not necessarily like that mysterious. It's just kind of like, it's such a big area. And some of it's so deep, you know, we don't even know where to look for these things.
Right. Let me see. So what islands, like there's a lot that like falls in, like there's land in there. It's not just the sea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's somewhere around like half a million to 1 million square miles. You know, it's a big area.
How many people live within the
Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably not that many, though. It's not like there's any like densely populated islands.
Turks and Caicos, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, that's not densely populated.
Bahamas. That's not nothing. There's people that are living there, and there's UFOs there freaking screwing with everybody.
You know, 1,000 miles away out at sea.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
It does. I wonder if like the people and government of Bermuda are like, why the hell? Why is it the Puerto Rican Triangle? Why us?
Right. Well,
How come we get slammed with this, and now 8-year-olds are afraid to come vacation here?
I mean, maybe they like it. Maybe it's an air of mystery.
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh, Bermuda, huh? I think I almost, the mopeds when I went, Tom. The mopeds in 1995 were out of control on the streets of Bermuda.
That's kind of like all over any island, I feel like, because it's just like a more efficient way to travel.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I don't know if that has anything to do with the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, Tim, and I kind of balk at the insinuation that it does.
Guess what, Tom? The one thing I wanted to do when I got to Bermuda was go parasailing. What's the thing? What's parasailing? It's the thing where you sit on the thing and you go in the air behind like a boat, right?
Yeah, a parachute. Yeah.
Guess what?
The one thing I wanted to do, parasailing. Now, what is that?
I just want to make sure I haven't sounded right. When you're 13, it's very important to you to know exactly what parasailing is. When you're 40, it's like it's not that important. Now, when we got to Bermuda, the day we were going to go parasailing, too windy.
Too windy, even for parasails. Wow.
Is that the Bermuda Triangle at work? Preventing me from my dream of parasailing in Bermuda?
Was it too windy, or, was there a busy day at the UFO docks and they were going to be coming in and out too much?
Exactly.
And they had to keep an inquisitive 13-year-old away from it.
Or did my mom really not want me to go parasailing?
Or did my mom know that once we got there, I would be too scared to do it? After she had already paid. If you like the show, you can find out more at TCGTE.com. You can find links to all of our social media there. You can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/complete guide. Books the podcast every week, a whole other episode. This week, we're wrapping up the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And we'll see if this book made a dent, if I've got any additional friends, and if I've influenced any additional people beyond the admittedly small sphere of influence I have.
Tom, I'd say I'm influenced by you.
There we go. The book's working.
You're like a Goofus. Like
from Highlights magazine.
Yeah, they're like, don't do what Goofus does. I look at you as my personal Goofus, and that's the influence you have on me over me and my decisions.
Of course, the implication there that you're gallant.
Well,
gallant.
Gallant.
It says, yeah, gallant.
Well, learn how to pronounce the man's name. A little respect.
Well, that was a real Goofus thing for me to do.
Exactly.
Goofus. What parent would name their kid Goofus? Not
That's
even
the thing.
Doofus.
Yeah,
or
Goofus
Goofy.
never had a chance.
Goofus.
Freaking, of course he's going to be a shit. Like, neglectful parents who are calling him Goofus, raising him wrong, no doubt.
Yeah, that kid was born into a bad situation, obviously. And we were all asked to judge him every month when he didn't hold a door for an old lady.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't sticking up liquor stores.
Patreon.com
Patreon.com/complete guide. You can find this kind of literary discussion there.
They should have the further adventure, like in a more grown-up magazine. The further, like Playboy would have the further adventures of Goofus and Gallant, and we follow them into like their 30s.
Well, Tim, we should see if these rights are available.
Yeah.
We can start our own.
Nah, I think we should convince Hef to buy the rights.
Tim, I have bad news about Hef. I'll tell you after we're done recording.
All right, thanks. Yeah.
What is it, that the grotto's closed? Don't tell me the grotto's closed. And we got these live shows coming up. TCGTE.com/live. London, England, and also streaming online. You can find all the links to those tickets September 16th and 17th. at tcgte.com/live. Should be a blast.
A really big shoe.
Yeah. Tim, has this episode made you more or less afraid of the Bermuda Triangle?
I think less.
Yeah.
Everything that happened like at least like 80 years ago. That's actually not true. There's some stuff that has happened recently. Yeah.
But is it stuff that is it like unexplainable, or is it like, oh yeah, if you take 1 million square miles of ocean?
Yeah, exactly. There have been like the most recent ones that I've found were, I think, 2017. Actually, no. 2017 were like mechanical issues on an airplane needed to made the plane have to change course.
Okay.
A private aircraft was lost at sea in 2018. But guess what? The ship disappeared there in 2020.
Oh.
A ship sank there in 2015. Yeah, just so some actual tragic stuff. The stuff that's like recent enough to be like, oh, those aren't people that died 100 years ago. We can laugh at their deaths.
Yeah, we can't laugh about them.
Yeah.
So maybe more attention needs to be brought to the Bermuda Triangle, and we're helping to lead the cause. Hey,
right to your congressman.
If you got a boat, get it out of there.
Yeah. We
Who
gotta
knows
go.
what's happening?
Yeah, they should rope it off.
Yeah, I don't think they.
Nobody in or out. Well, people out. And I think you should be able to go in too, because I want to go to the Bahamas and stuff.
But the rope will serve as just, a warning.
Yeah.
Keep your wits about you. This isn't a theme park,
Exactly.
It might not be completely safe.
Yeah, that might be a wormhole over there.
Yeah. Or Atlantis.
That one guy,
Mm-hmm.
that was a cool thing that happened to him. So like that's a point in favor of.
Oh,
right?
the guy who got
I went
to
really
where he
fast
was going faster.
and made good time on my trip. Ooh, oh no, the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, I think he was maybe he's like, I want to find out how to do that again. I can make a fortune.
Yeah.
I could, I don't know, be a rum runner or something.
Rum running was very popular then, yeah.
Be a cocaine guy, a cocaine flyer.
All right. I think we're good.
All right. We'll see you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.